Welcome to another episode of the Burg Podcast, where we talk about all things Hattiesburg, Mississippi. Also known as the Hub City or just the Burg, Hattiesburg is a bustling town in southern Mississippi. It's an educational, cultural, business, and medical hub for the region, and we're pleased to share stories from our community.
On today's episode of the Burg Podcast, we have 3 individuals talking about different topics that have impacted their lives. On our first segment, we have Kennedy Lambert and her interview with Katie Dixon.
I'm Kennedy Lambert for the Burg Podcast. Today, I'm interviewing Katie Dixon as part of our regular series, interviewing interesting people of the Pine Belt. Katie is a famous local chef, native Mississippian, and owner of Birdie's Cafe. She has also made several appearances on famous cooking shows like Master Chef. Thank you for being on my podcast today, Katie.
You're so welcome, Kennedy. I'm excited to talk about all things culinary today with you.
Okay, so I guess just to kick us off here, so just tell me a little bit about your background. So where are you from, and just a little bit more about your everyday life?
Well, I'm from Brookhaven, Mississippi. I am a Mississippi-bred girl through and through. I grew up going to my grandparents' farm. It was like love on a plate was being served in my grandmother's kitchen. So the family would go out every weekend. My grandfather worked on the farm. My grandmother loved being in the kitchen. And I was torn between being in the kitchen with my grandmother or being on the farm with my grandfather. I loved both experiences. But what I loved about my grandmother is that she would just bake and she would cook from her heart. She didn't really follow recipes. Her hands were always dirty in the kitchen, having flour on them. She cooked a lot differently than the way that I cook, but the really commonality between the two of us is that we love the people we serve. And it just brings so much joy to cook in Birdie's Cafe, and it brought my grandmother so much joy just getting to cook in her farmhouse kitchen. So growing up in Brookhaven, a big family, mealtime was just the sweet time for us. And, I never in a million years thought I would end up doing what I'm doing today. I played basketball in college. I was always told I was too small to get to play basketball in college. And I learned very early on that food is fuel. A really good friend of mine's mother had food allergies. They were from California. And at age 16, she started teaching me how foods can make you feel differently. And it just was like, wait, foods can make you feel different? I was never taught that in the South. I mean, I was taught a lot of things about food, but that was not one of them. So I just really started researching, like, how do I eat foods that make me feel my best? How do I make foods that are different than the foods I'm eating in the South that can make me perform better? So from a very young age, food became very important to me in a different way than just serving love on a plate. The desire behind the nourishment behind food really just grew and grew. And so I went to college. I started teaching my friends how to cook little meals in the kitchen. Fast forward to, I was having children, and my daughter, my oldest, Stevie Kate, she was dyslexic and had ADHD, and she was having trouble sitting still in the classroom, and I didn't want to medicate her. And I really realized that the food she was eating also affected the way that she performed and could sit still in school. So I started cooking. I was actually a cafeteria worker. I started cooking in the little cafeteria at her little tiny school with 8 kids in each class, kindergarten through 6th grade. And I would sneak healthy foods into dishes, and the kids had no idea they were getting spinach in their lasagna, or they were getting, really a lot of greens in any sauce I made. And so I learned to cook in bulk there. From that, I was a nutritionist and personal trainer at Anatomies, and I noticed a lot of my clients, they basically would exercise all day, but they didn't know how to eat correctly. So I started making a few meals for my clients. They loved them. And I had 100 people trying to pick up dinner at my house, which is not okay. So I got in a commercial kitchen at Vitamin Plus, and I just started cooking my meals at Vitamin Plus in that commercial kitchen. And that is really where I started and how I've gotten to where I am today.
That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that. And then, so I guess my next question would be, you kind of told me how you got to the point of becoming an entrepreneur, and I know you said you never thought that you would be an entrepreneur, but my next question is, did you always hope to be an entrepreneur? Once this journey kind of started, did you think, oh, this could really turn into something great?
Some of my most favorite classes at USM were my marketing classes. And people ask me all the time, how do you do what you do? And I'm like, it comes back to the basics that I learned in marketing. Professor Bill Smith taught me, he was one of my favorite professors. He said, if you can meet the needs of your customers, then you'll be successful. He said, stay true to your passion, but if you can understand their needs and meet them, you will be successful. And I truly believe that is the best advice I was ever given. And I know that's so simple, but when you can understand your clients, the things that they need, and you can provide a solution to help them get the answer to their need, then you're going to be successful. And, in business and being an entrepreneur, I've learned, like, you have to pivot and turn sometimes. Stay true to the things you're passionate about, but you're going to have to pivot. Things are going to change. Prices in food changes. Like, you have to have an open mindset. So did I ever think I was going to be an entrepreneur? Like, absolutely not. But do I love getting to do it now? 100%. I think growing up watching my dad, like, he would kind of like dabble in different businesses. It really gave me that entrepreneur mindset that I didn't realize that he was, giving me. But if it was, I have one menu item at the cafe that's actually a very popular one called the Gravedigger's Daughter. And my dad was a gravedigger. That was one of his businesses. So he saw a need in the community. He's like, I mean, it might sound morbid, but like, people are always passing away. Like, it's a business that somebody's always needing to dig a grave. So he would see needs in the community and meet it. And so I think some of that was passed down to me.
Yeah, and I agree with everything you just said 100%. And then, so I know you talked about, again, your journey leading up to being an entrepreneur and serving your clients, but what was the idea behind opening Birdie's Cafe?
Well, if it wouldn't have been for MasterChef, I don't think I would have ever opened Birdie's. It was all just kind of a whirlwind. So I had moved into the commercial kitchen at Vitamin Plus. It was all really God's timing and alignment that it all happened. So cafeteria school, meal planner at my daughter's school, to a growing clientele at Anatomies, to I get in a commercial kitchen at Vitamin Plus. One of my friends sends me an audition for MasterChef, and I was like, what is MasterChef? I didn't even have time to really watch TV at that point in my life. And then I look it up, and I'm like, there's no way in the world I could be on a national television show cooking. Like, no way. So I just like disregarded it. Well, because I'd opened this little place inside Vitamin Plus, one of my other friends had sent me some flowers just out of her yard, and it had a flower that I was allergic to. So I was up all night coughing. Automatically, what I do, I get on my phone. So I start scrolling through pictures, and my friend on the coast had sent me the little audition picture. So I said, you know what, I'm just going to get online. I'm going to fill this form out. It was like 3 a.m. in the morning. I was up coughing. I just couldn't sleep. So I said, I'm going to fill it out. The next morning, I took my first break, like, from the kitchen at Vitamin Plus, and I had 17 missed calls from LA, and my heart just started, like, racing. And it was MasterChef wanted me to audition the next day in Jackson, Mississippi. So that was a 9-month-long process. 22,000 people audition. They cut it to 80. 80 of us show up in LA. 40 of us end up competing. 20 of us make it into the kitchen. I finished top 6 on the show, and it changed my life forever. So after that, I get back to Hattiesburg, Mississippi. Everyone's like, when are you opening a real place? So that's really how Birdie started. And I said, I don't know that my concept is going to be appreciated quite yet in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. Healthy food is different for the South. It's definitely a growing trend, and now it's more popular. Back 7 years ago, people were like, what are you making me? You're cooking quinoa and acai bowls, like fresh pressed juices. Like, they just weren't used to it. So I had to figure out a way to be marketable to the average customer that wanted to walk in the cafe. I had to have something familiar, but I had to put healthy spins on it. So that's how Birdie's came to be.
Well, that's really awesome. And I guess that kind of started on my next question, which is, so tell me a little bit more about MasterChef. I know you just told me about the process, but let's go back to that. And so tell me a little bit more about your experience on MasterChef.
I tell people all the time, my experience on MasterChef was just one of the most unique, special. I feel like I'm in a dream still when I think about being in the kitchen with Gordon Ramsay. People give Gordon Ramsay a hard time that he's mean or he's too hard on the contestants, or, I have to say this, it's like a coach in a sport. They're going to push you if they know that you have more in you. And so if you're in the kitchen and he knows you're capable of more than you're given and you're willing to learn, he's going to push you. And it's in such a positive way. I know it gets shown in such a negative light a lot of times. Now, if you disrespect him or you're doing something he doesn't like over and over again, he wants you out. He's going to be an asshole to you. Excuse my language. He's just not going to be super nice to you. But, getting to cook next to him and learn from him every episode, I really went in like, you know what? I'm not a master at this. I'm going to go in and I'm going to learn and I'm going to grow and I'm going to become better at my trade. And that's what I did. So I walked in and I wasn't nervous. And a lot of the producers would ask me, they're like, you come in and you're not nervous. And I'm like, what do I have to lose? Like, I'm one of the 20 that's in this kitchen out of 22,000. I feel like I have an opportunity that a lot of people won't. So I just want to grow and become my best. And that's what I did. I was made fun of for making healthy fried chicken. The producers came to me and they wanted me to be a traditional Southern chef. And I knew in the moment that they told me they were going to air me if I talked about healthy again, that I wasn't going to win the show. But I knew in staying true to my passions and what I wanted my daughters to be able to look back and say, you know what, Mom stayed true to her and she didn't conform because they wanted her to. I knew that I wasn't going to win, but I knew I was going to win, like, at my game of life. And from staying true to me, Gordon Ramsay actually put me on contract with Team Ramsay for 2 years after my MasterChef contract ran out. Neiman Marcus picked me up as an ambassador for promoting women just to be themselves. So when you stay true to yourself, and I feel like when you stay true to that passion that you have, that, you know, God has given you, I feel like you're going to win. Sometimes you hit rock bottom, you get back up and you pick up the stuff, you learn something and you keep growing. And that's one big thing I want to say with anybody that's trying to start a business. Like, you're going to fail a lot before you succeed. Just get back up and keep trying, and you will succeed in the end.
That's great advice. And then I guess to wrap this all up, you just kind of took the words out of my mouth, giving advice to young entrepreneurs. So you kind of gave that there. But I guess my last question would be, if somebody was going to come to Birdhouse Cafe, what would you recommend them eat?
Ooh, okay. And I'll answer that in a two-part thing, because I think I have one more little thing to say.
Okay.
I think we dream so big, and I was one of these. I was a student coming out of USM that I had really big dreams, but I forgot about the hard parts. And I think sometimes we, especially with social media today, we see all the glossy things. We see all the pretty things. Somebody could look at my life on social media and think that my business just runs perfectly every day. And I think for the young entrepreneur, I want to be realistic with you. And I want to tell you that there are lots of hard times in a business. And don't feel defeated because you feel alone, that you're the only one going through hard times. All business owners go through hard times. So that's my little 2 cents on that, just a little extra. And if somebody were to come in Birdie's Cafe, what would I want them to eat? I would want them to get a couple things, actually, a sweet and a savory. I love the Dillon. It's a quinoa cake that has roasted red bell peppers and mushrooms on it, top a little bit of cheese and an over easy egg. I love a hot sauce that we make. It's a honey sriracha sauce, and I love to drizzle that over the top. One of my best friends, Lindsay Dillon, and I cook a lot in the kitchen, and it was named after her, so it's called the Dillon. All the menu items at the cafe have like special meanings behind the name. So that, and then the Reese Peasy bowl, which was named after my daughter Reese. It's an acai bowl that has peanut butter in it. It's topped with fresh granola and coconut flakes and all the kinds of berries. So I would say those two things, so they have a sweet and a savory. And top it off with a pitaya lemonade because it's pretty.
Okay, well, you heard it here. Come to Birdie's Cafe and try those 2 items. But I guess that's all for my podcast today. So thank you so much for talking with me today. And I'm Kennedy with the Bird Podcast.
Next up, Lauren Patterson has a personal essay about her relationship with her brother.
Growing up with a sibling, you expect a certain bond, a connection that makes you feel close. But for me, that connection was slippery. My brother and I never quite clicked in the way I saw other siblings do. You see, my brother has autism, and our relationship has been a journey of understanding, acceptance, and love. From a young age, I understood that my role as a sibling would be more than just being the annoying little sister. I would be one of his caretakers and protectors. I was 5 when I started looking after him, ensuring he was dressed properly and had his breakfast every morning. As we grew older, I became his shield against others, especially at school where bullies preyed on his differences. One vivid memory that stands out from my childhood: we were at after-school care playing kickball when I saw 2 boys across the field attempting to force rocks down my brother's throat. In a rush of adrenaline, I ran as fast as my short legs could, throwing rocks back at the boys. I was only 8 at the time, and I did receive a week of in-school suspension, but it was worth it. It was at that moment that I realized I would protect him against anybody who hurt him. But as much as I tried to show him love, there were moments when I felt his resentment. He tore apart my possessions, from Barbie dolls to treasured postcards, and skipped my milestones like my high school graduation, leaving me to question if he despised me. It wasn't until later that I realized his actions stemmed from jealousy. Jealousy that I'm normal, something he longed for every day. Our family dynamic was complex. With my brother's needs often being prioritized, I felt overlooked and isolated. My mother's struggle with depression fueled my loneliness, leaving me craving validation and connection. I remember when my mom would retreat into her room for hours to days, leaving me to navigate my emotions alone. Despite the challenges, my brother possessed a remarkable strength I had never seen. Faced with the limitations from autism, he defied expectations by graduating high school with a regular diploma, not a modified one. His determination and persistence were inspiring. I still recall the pride and tears I felt that day as I watched him walk across the stage. My brother had his first girlfriend in college. She was great at first. He was so nervous, he would call my dad every night for advice on what to wear and what to say to her. It was ridiculously cute. It quickly took a turn when she broke his heart by cheating on him. The rage I felt that day when he called me crying was the angriest I'd ever been in my life. I had just gotten out of school, and I drove as fast as I could to his dorm room. I picked him up, and we went to go get Sonic and watched our favorite movie, How to Train Your Dragon. That was months before his psychosis was diagnosed. Even though he was heartbroken, I enjoyed being there for him. It's the last happy memory I have before he changed. But just as he seemed to be finding his way in college, life threw us another curveball: psychosis. Witnessing his fall into fear and withdrawal was heart-wrenching. I remember the days when his laughter filled the house, a contrast to the silence that now surrounds us. When I started college, I was diagnosed with anxiety and depression. My parents never thought it was anything serious because I am the kid they never have to worry about. They were wrong. I had felt alone my whole life and only had 2 close friends because I never allowed myself to be close with anyone. College was different. I did not know how to make friends, and I felt even more isolated. I let my mental health overcome me at one point and had to seek professional help. This broke the rose-colored glasses that my brother and my parents were looking through for many years. They realized that I am not normal in a sense, that I did need help, and I could not do everything on my own, like they had always assumed. I had never asked for help before from my family because I knew everyone had more pressing matters, but after that trauma, my family understood that I did need help. My brother's perception of me was shattered and rebuilt. When he came to visit me, his presence, though silent, spoke volumes, reminding me that there is an unbreakable bond between us. In that moment, I realized that despite the challenges we face, we do love one another. Our relationship has evolved over the years. While I cherish the connection we share, I've also come to realize the importance of setting boundaries and prioritizing my own needs. As I look ahead, 20 years in the future, I will be taking care of Michael at 40 years old and will become his primary caretaker. I'm filled with both uncertainty and hope. My brother remains my rock, a constant source of inspiration and love. While our journey may have its challenges, I know that together we can do anything. I'm Lauren for the Burg Podcast.
Lastly, the spotlight is on the new men's club soccer team at Southern Miss. Wesley Dolphinbach, a player of the team, talks all about it. Alex Sahaney has the report.
Earlier this year, men's soccer fans of the USM student body got together to create a club that would allow them to do what they love in a competitive atmosphere. Although the team is still rather new, they have shown great promise. According to Wesley Dolphinbach, the idea of this men's club soccer team had been thrown around for a while, but this year they finally made it happen.
We're all really excited to be a part of this new team. It's been a long time coming, and I'm really grateful to the leaders of the team for making it happen. We're all really dedicated to the sport and to this club, and we came to be successful. I'm excited to see where the journey takes us and what we can accomplish as a team.
What exactly is a club soccer team, you might ask? Essentially, it is a group of male students who come together to create a team by way of a club. There is no monetary help from the university, meaning everything is completely on the students. Events, jerseys, fundraising, marketing, and just about everything else that one could think of is run by the athletes that are playing on the soccer field. This is where these athletes can combine their love for the game with the skills that managers of soccer teams must possess. It obviously requires a ton of responsibility. For this team, however, it's well worth the headache.
Southern Miss and most schools in our area don't have a men's soccer team, so it's kind of on us to make a way to play the sport that we love. We're currently making our schedule and hope to play Mississippi State and other schools this year. Every one of us have played soccer our entire lives. We tried out, we put this team together, and we're going to be hard to beat this year.
The Southern Miss men's club soccer team may be new, but it has already made quite a name for itself. Despite the fact that it's new, its passion and determination seem very real, and the players are eager to prove themselves on the field. These students will be playing their first game in the fall of 2024. Reporting for the Burg Podcast, this has been Alexander Sagini.
Thank you for tuning in to the Burg Podcast. This podcast is totally produced by students in Dr. Dave Davies' MCJ 344 podcasting class in the School of Media and Communication at the University of Southern Mississippi. Producers for this episode are Madison Calkins, Sydney Stokes, Michaelan Williams, and Denari Washington. Music from Upbeat. See the link in our About page for more information. Cover artwork by Madison Calkins and Greta Graves.